look. Just look what's just laying back there, just loafing around. The crown jewel of my September 2023 haul. Ugh. Just look. People wonder why I didn't pop for the Haslab stuff. In this little dinky setup I got, I wouldn't have even had enough room for the Haslab Galactus. Barely have enough room for this 19-inch one back from 2010, but whatever. We'll get to him, but first, for the first half of September, I was away halfway across the country, and I scored a lot of pickups. So let's get into that first. First off, during my 6th pilgrimage to Kansas to see a good buddy of mine, this one comic shop of theirs, I scored this. This is the mini-series back in 2003 that had the Crimson Dynamo that became the Build-A-Figure in that old Black Widow movie wave. Yeah, it was weird. It had some poor schlub in post-communism Russia stumble upon the helmet for a special version of the Crimson Dynamo armor made by the OG guy, Anton Vanko, and so it was just kind of weird, but whatever. It was good to get my hands on this and just read it for myself. It's nice when you can grab comics in hand, you know, and just don't have to worry about shady sites with the scans and stuff. So yeah, might as well put it back there. It's not really in the way. And then when I left Kansas and went on my merry way, I went east instead of west this time, into Missouri, and at a place called Slackers in Columbia, Missouri, along with getting a decent burger there in, like, what was it, Eddie's Diner? It was this place called Slackers. We have this, a physical copy of Octopath Traveler. There was a lot of buzz about the sequel, and yeah, I know I could have gotten this on Steam for like half the price, but whatever, you know me. I like having physical copies, and I think of this more as a Switch game. So I grabbed it while I could. Yeah, here we are. We got a good friend of mine, NecroVMX. I saw him do a run of the Steam version, and in that, when I tuned in, I saw that he had really bulked up Ophelia. She became a nightmare to people like you. She had a certain set of skills. Made her a nightmare to kidnappers. Yeah, that was an actual gag he used there, but whatever. Also, while in there, actually scored a figure. This is Ursa Non, a DC Direct version. I mean, how many years did it take for her to actually make it into the comics? It only took Livewire from the 90s cartoon, what, about 10 years? It was weird. I mean, Ursa Non was supposed to be kind of like an XP for the Superman 2 movie of Fiora. And then she gets in the comics, Ursa does, and then they use Fiora for the reboot movie Man of Steel. Whatever. Anyway, it was good to actually score that. I mean, it doesn't go for much on eBay, but it's cost me a few bucks less, minus the shipping costs, and it's always fun when you can grab stuff yourself. Now, going on to when I was in St. Louis. Once I was done seeing the Gateway Arch monument, in fact, I got myself a little souvenir while I was in that museum. Afterwards, I scooted to a place, I think it was called Bodachs, B-O-D-A-C-H-S, if you want to search for it. At first I come in, I see a lot of gaming stuff, like for tabletop stuff and Magic the Gathering. I'm thinking, oh, I'm in the right place, but then I see the retro stuff, and I'm like, oh, never mind. And I actually find this. What is this? It's obviously a Technos game. It is kind of in the River City Ransom series, but this is actually the debut appearance of those two girls from River City Girls. I think Misako and the name of the other one, the redheaded girl, escapes me at the moment, but I had just become aware of this while I was still in Kansas, researching what to bring next time to do two-player, and found out they just revamped this and put it on a PlayStation 4 disc. Well, why bother? I was able to get this, and this actually costs less than what the limited run games version of this on PS4 goes for. So that was good. I was even thinking about getting the repro too. Found something on what's it called, AliExpress, but why bother now that I got the real thing? And they also had this. Import Super NES games and Sega Master stuff. You can't just... Even in my neck of the woods, even in a rather urban part of Florida, you can't just walk into any game store and expect to find that. So yeah, this is Hang On. Plus a shooter called Astro Warrior. Now, Hang On was a big deal. One of Sega's big arcade games that showed their super scalar chops. I mean, kids today, people born after the turn of the millennium, they might not get what a big deal it was to have a decent arcade conversion of that, but early on in the 8-bit wars, if you could call it wars, Sega got slaughtered. But this showed what the Sega Master System could do, and shows that it could handle decent arcade conversions with the technology they had. So yeah, another one I'm glad I scored. But then my time in Missouri was over, and I moved up into Illinois, heading for Chicago. The crown jewel of that trip was to see the season opener with the Packers visiting the Bears, and the Packers thumped them 38-20. Pretty much clinched the game with when their quarterback, what was his name, Jason Fields, threw a nasty pick. Oh, I'll remember that forever. But anyway, before I got to Chicago, I stopped in Bloomington, Illinois, and I just went into a Best Buy, and Celeste, speaking of stuff that's already on Steam, I actually had this on Steam already. I got it on sale for like $8, but I wanted a physical copy of this. I haven't had a chance to really try it out yet. It's basically Super Meat Boy with a girl and going up a mountain and shit, and she's got this weird negative side of her called battling, but what? I'll try Adventure. But in the meantime, I felt this was the game that I needed a physical copy of. There was a previous physical copy by Limited Run Games that had box art that I actually prefer, but I'm not paying over $100 just for prettier box art. I'm not that much. Yeah, I keep getting physical copies of stuff I can get on Steam or for free on an emulator, but I'm not that stupid with money. And while in Chicago, I didn't find much that I was really looking for, but there was this one comic shop on the way back from the Chicago the Art Institute of Chicago, I think the official name is. I don't know why I keep going. Art museums make me feel stupid. I mean, all the history I've forgotten, and art techniques and history I've forgotten when I switched career paths and went into medical science and laboratory work. But whatever, I found this. I haven't even gone through all of the IDW Gem comics yet, and this is kind of a spin-off. Obviously, this deals with some sort of D&D setup, and I don't know, maybe all the talk about Baldur's Gate 3 and Dungeons & Dragons was on my mind, so I decided to go ahead and pick this up, because why the hell not? Some things I forgot to put up here at first that I probably wouldn't have had room for anyway. In a nearby store called Reckless Records, I believe it was, they also had other old media that's becoming obsolete. Well, pick this up. I already had the digital copy, which had the ultra high definition, but I liked this movie enough where I wanted a physical copy. Yeah, there were parts of it that bothered me. It's like Wonder Woman herself not seeming to care that her spirit of her dead boyfriend was possessing another guy that really had no say in the matter. She didn't even touch on that. And Cheetah was supposed to be a Brit, and she was empowered by a completely different evil god, but whatever. Also, back while I was in Kansas, this place called Vintage Shack, or Vintage Stock, I picked this up. Every Halloween I've been doing this thing where I watch a Halloween movie I haven't seen before. These last 3 Halloweens, that's how I got through the Thorn trilogy. This is up next. There's someone I know by the name of June who absolutely detests this. loathes this version with every fiber of her being, but whatever. I gotta get through all of them eventually. Well, might as well give this one a shot. Get the unrated version. But eventually, I had to come back to here to Florida. But I did find something here that I've also been looking for. Another old thing that I could probably play on an emulator for free, but I wanted the physical copy. LucasArts' Indiana Jones Greatest Adventures. Kind of in the same vein of the Super Star Wars games, done by the same studio, I believe, JVC or whatever. What can I say? I love seeing Indiana Jones 5 in the theaters, and it's actually my favorite of the 5. But I did decide to go back and watch the old ones, like I did after seeing Indiana Jones 4. I just completed the original trilogy when I was able to pick this up, so I figured, yeah, I had to. I got to give it a shot. I don't think it's going to be as good as the Castlevania with all the whip action, whoop-paw, whoop-paw, but whatever. Now we come to the big mama jama. So, counted up what money I had left over after coming home, and I decided to go ahead and get the big dog. There's a lot of big things I really want that's going to cost a pretty penny, over $100, but I figured the most important was, well, for my Fantastic Four villains, I have Dr. Doom, I have Mole Man, but after that, who's Fantastic Four villain that really carries the story? None other than Galactus, the Devourer of Worlds, of course. Yeah, Fantastic Four. It's something I grew up liking, along with Spider-Man and X-Men. Fantastic Four. My father loved that too. He always waxed nostalgic over it. I was exposed to the 60s cartoon thanks to Cartoon Network, so I even kind of liked that first 2000s movie, and the second one I was really enjoyed. It was only soured at the end because they didn't show Galactus proper, just that cloud. But yeah, like I said, I do not have the room for that big Haslab one, and I wasn't going to plunk down, what was it, $350, $400 for that one alone? When this one will do, this 19-inch one. Yeah, the headpiece is kind of messed up. I'm going to probably have to take like a blow dryer or find somewhere to heat it and put some big clips in place to straighten this out. But otherwise, it looks good. See a nice amount of detail here, just sculpted detail, and a decent amount of paint work. Got no batteries in him, so he's not going to speak. But for such a big figure, he's not entirely a brick. He's less brickish than, say, Marvel Select Hulk and Juggernaut. He's got a surprising amount of articulation, bicep swivel, good rotation at the shoulders, double-jointed elbows and knees, wrist articulation. It's on a hinge, unlike a lot of stuff from Marvel. So, yep, here we go. See, double-jointed knees as well. Don't think he has a boot cut, but he's got can swing his thigh, and he can get some movement in the ankle. So yeah, crown jewel. Something I decided to get with the money I had left over once I came back from vacation. So one of the big Mama Jama villains I still needed on my comic shelf. Got him. But such a big haul and blowing so much money while halfway across the country, I don't know if I'm going to be getting much next month. We'll see. Besides, it's going to be hard to top this without breaking the bank.